For decades, Kazakh people have experienced suffering and oppression due to various reasons. At certain moments in history, our national identity was the edge of being erased from the world stage. But thanks to the efforts of outstanding Kazakhs, our nation exists and builds prospective future. In this video, we will present our research about Alash figures' influence on the formation and preservation of Kazakh national identity.
The foundation of independent Republic of Kazakhstan is a result of centuries of historical development. The late of 19th and early 20th centuries form one of the most important chapters in history of modern Kazakhstan. It makes the topic significant is understanding and broadening the image of Kazakhstan in that period. We identified the following problematic issues related to these complex topics. First of all is suppression and rehabilitation. During the Soviet era, Alash figures were labeled as a Buddhist nationalist, and their ideas were supposed. Only after Kazakh independence they were rehabilitated, leading to gaps in historical understanding and public awareness. Second one is romanticization versus realism. In modern Kazakhstan, Alash figures are often glorified as national heroes, which risk oversimplifying their internal disagreements, ideological limitations, or even failures.
By invoking the myth of Alasha Khan as a common ancestral origin, Alash members sought to consolidate Kazakh tribal identities into a unified national identity. Alasha Khan is a mythical hero, the iconic ruler and ancestor of all Kazakhs. Tales about him were transmitted orally, and one of them was recorded by Alexei Levshin in his 1832 work Описание киргиз-кайсакских хор и степей, pages 27-29. Researcher Özgidjan Kesici, in her article The Alash Movement and the Question of Kazakh Ethnicity, states that Alash leader Alikhan Bokikhanov emphasizes the importance of belief of common descent among Kazakhs and provides his quote. Kesici also mentions the importance of genealogical tradition of Kazakhs Shizhire in reinforcing national identity and unification by citing Saulish Isenova, who showed the works of Shakarenko Daiberdiev and Muhammadjan Tanashpayev. Alash members promoted the usage of Kazakh language in everyday life and education. In 1913, Alash members founded the Kazakh Journal, which was written in Kazakh language and used the correct ethnonym of Kazakhs. The authors have published translated versions of works of foreign poets and writers, outstanding articles on intelligentsia about current events and news. Gulnar Kinderbaeva, in her work We Are Children of Alash, states the following. The editor of Kazakh, Ahmed Baitursunov, was a remarkable Alash figure who worked in fields of linguistics, literature, politics, and education. He described his valuable contribution in Kazakh language development and education in his own short biography. Gulnar Kinderbaeva also states that neither Islam or nomadic way of life, but Kazakh language preservation, development of culture and literature form a basis for national identity. Tomohiko Oyama, in the Geography of Civilizations, a spatial analysis of the Kazakh intelligentsia's activities from the mid-19th to the early 20th century, describes Mirjaka Abdulatov's contribution to reinforce national identity by mentioning his works and thoughts about knowledge sleeping of Kazakh people. The party aimed to establish a strong national autonomy that would represent the interests of the Kazakh people and found the basis for nation's prosperity. In December 1917, the Second All-Kazakh Congress took place in Orenburg, where Alash autonomy was declared and created. Before that, Alash Party has published a program in Kazakh Journal where they stated their ideas and plans. Mambet Koygaldiev, in his work The Alash Movement and the Soviet Government, A Difference of Positions, provides explicit description of Alash government's program. Here, he considers these actions of Alash figures very important for the national history. Alash movement was trying to achieve decolonization of Kazakhstan and form a basis for the nation's overall development by democratizing the state and using the Western states as examples.
In the end, we can conclude that despite the mentioned problematic issues, Alash figures had significant impact on the information of Kazakh national identity. They invoked the myth of common descent and genealogical tradition to unify the tribes. They promoted the use of Kazakh language, contributed literature and education, established autonomy, and planned to lay the basis for future prosperity. Despite political pressure from both Tsarist Bolshevik authorities and constant threat of repressions, the Alash movement did all it could for Kazakhstan and its people. We believe the efforts must be remembered and respected. The Alash leaders were ultimately crushed by the totalitarian Soviet regime that feared losing control over the Kazakh steppe to rising national consequences.